Dramatic political shift. Former minister breaks silence on Carney's risky move for Canada. Canada's political scene has been anything but calm following Prime Minister Mark Carney's decision to shelve the long-anticipated digital services tax, a move that has sparked intense backlash across party lines and from former officials. Critics argue this wasn't just a policy reversal, it was a calculated gamble with the country's economic sovereignty. One former cabinet minister has broken ranks, accusing Carney of making a dangerous concession that could come back to haunt Canada's economic future. The minister, who once held significant responsibility in federal negotiations, argues that this decision reeks of desperation and could erode Canada's position as a self-determined actor on the global stage. The controversy centers on Carney's decision to back off from implementing a 3% levy on major digital companies operating in Canada. Originally designed to ensure that tech giants like Google and Meta contribute fairly to the Canadian economy, the tax had overwhelming support among small businesses and legacy media outlets struggling to compete. For many Canadians, the tax was a step toward justice in the digital economy. But its sudden removal, especially so close to its activation date, raised eyebrows. Supporters of the tax saw its cancellation not as pragmatic diplomacy, but as an open-door invitation for foreign tech behemoths to keep exploiting Canadian consumers and advertisers without paying their fair share. The former minister wasn't alone in voicing concern. Many across the political spectrum are worried that shelving the tax signals a broader willingness to sacrifice long-term national interests in exchange for short-term political wins. The fear is that Canada is becoming too quick to retreat from its own policies when faced with pressure, whether economic or diplomatic. Critics argue that this undermines the kind of bold, principled leadership Canadians want, especially when it comes to standing up for fairness and sovereignty in an increasingly uncertain global order. But the backlash isn't limited to economics. The former minister also voiced serious concerns about how the Carney government is making these decisions privately, without public consultation, and often with little to no parliamentary debate. That lack of transparency has ignited a firestorm among democracy advocates and policy experts who say these decisions should be made behind closed doors. If a policy has such significant national implications, it should be brought before Parliament and debated openly. After all, we're not a technocracy. Our system is supposed to work through elected representatives, not unelected advisors and global consultants. There's growing concern that this method of top-down governance is becoming Carney's default style. While he may be new to the office of Prime Minister, many are beginning to question whether he understands the difference between running a central bank and running a democracy. Carney's professional history, after all, is rooted in finance, global investment, and monetary policy, not in the messy, often unpredictable world of Canadian electoral politics. The concern is that his instincts are geared more toward placating markets and international stakeholders than engaging citizens or defending local priorities. That worry is amplified by Carney's deep connections to corporate interests, particularly his past with Brookfield Asset Management. For critics, this isn't just background noise, it's context for every decision he makes. The scrapping of the digital tax is now being viewed by many as part of a broader pattern, one where Canadian interests are being subordinated to multinational corporations and global capital. It's not lost on observers that tech giants are some of the very companies that benefit from the lack of a digital tax, and some have even speculated about backdoor lobbying or external pressure that may have played a role in this sudden shift. While Carney's team insists that everything is being done in the best interest of Canadians, the former minister raised a powerful question: who gets to define what the best interest actually is? In a functioning democracy, that question should be answered collectively through public debate and elected representation. But when decisions are made unilaterally, without public scrutiny or clear timelines, it breeds suspicion and distrust. The idea that one man can make sweeping economic policy changes without broad consensus feels deeply un-Canadian, and that sentiment is catching fire with voters. The timing of this policy reversal couldn't be more politically charged. After winning the Liberal leadership and forming a government through a snap election in April 2025, Carney has tried to position himself as a technocratic savior, calm, data-driven, and globally respected. But this latest move may have undermined that image. Instead of looking like a disciplined leader making difficult choices, Carney now risks being seen as an unelected elitist making high-stakes decisions on behalf of people he barely engages with. That narrative is being pushed hard by the conservatives, and it's gaining traction. Pierre Poilievre, now the leader of the opposition, has wasted no time seizing the moment. He's accusing Carney of following the same top-down, elitist liberal playbook that defined the Trudeau years. Unlike Carney, Poilievre presents himself as a populist reformer, a man of the people who wants to bring transparency, accountability, and affordability back to government. He's painted Carney as a globalist banker who knows more about climate finance than Canadian families struggling to pay for groceries or rent. And in the eyes of many, that contrast is becoming more stark by the day. But the criticism doesn't end with just Poilievre. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has also raised questions about the DST reversal, arguing that tech companies should not be given a free pass while small businesses and families continue to shoulder an unfair tax burden. Singh's focus has remained on economic justice, pharmacare, and ensuring the ultra-wealthy pay their share. He's pushed back against Carney's finance-heavy worldview, calling instead for policies rooted in equality and fairness, principles many feel are slowly eroding under the current government's leadership. Meanwhile, public opinion appears divided. While some Canadians are willing to give Carney the benefit of the doubt, trusting his experience to guide Canada through volatile times, others see this as another example of a government that's lost touch with everyday concerns. Affordability, access to services, and political accountability top the list of voter priorities. Yet none of these seem to be front and center in the Carney government's recent decisions. Many are asking, where is the bold vision for Canadians? Where is the leadership that puts people before profit? In the end, the former minister's criticism is about more than one tax. It's a warning flare, a signal that something deeper may be wrong with how Canada is being governed. The frustration isn't just about economic policy. It's about the growing sense that big decisions are being made without us, by people who may not fully understand or respect what everyday Canadians are going through. That's a dangerous path, and one that could have lasting consequences if not corrected. Whether Carney chooses to listen or doubles down will shape not just his legacy, but the direction of the entire country.